If you want a budget electronic group set for your road bike, then you've basically got two options, either Sram Rival AXS or Shimano 105 Di2. That is until now, because the Chinese have joined the party with this, the Wheeltop EDS TX. It is cheaper than what's currently out there. It's also fully wireless, available for both rim brake or disc brake bikes, and has some rather nifty features that you won't find even on the range topping group sets from the big hitters. It's got a lot going for it then, but is it any good? Well, to find out, we've been reviewing this new option for a few months now to see whether you really do get what you pay for, or whether SRAM and Shimano are about to have a very wheel top shaped headache. Let's get into it. So, what is EDS TX? Well, the first thing you need to know about it is that it isn't a complete group set. This is a drivetrain upgrade kit made up of 6 main components. So in the box you get a pair of shifters, a pair of brake calipers, a front mech and a rear mech. You do of course get some other bits and bobs which you'll get onto later, but the idea is that you fit this to your current bike and keep your current cassette, chain and crankset. What that means is that I can take this lovely Tarmac SL6, which was previously running mechanical Ultegra, and upgrade it to electronic shifting without having to remortgage a house. As you can see on this bike, we've kept the KMC chain and the Ultegra cassette and chain set. And then we've just bolted on the new wireless mechs and replaced the brakes. Your next question might be then, will this fit my bike? Well, chances are yes. You see, Wheeltop is making this not only in disc brake form, but also a version for rim brakes. Now that I can see being a huge positive over SRAM and Shimano offerings, which have kind of left rim brake users to fend for themselves in recent years. And the good news doesn't stop there. You see, Wheeltop has done what Shimano and SRAM have either been unable or unwilling to ever do, and make this upgrade kit compatible with multiple speeds of bike. Now what I mean by that is I go into the app and I can turn the rear mech into one that will work with a 7-speed cassette all the way up to a 14-speed. It really does seem simple, doesn't it? And yet it's something that up until now we haven't been able to do. All of that sounds rather good, but what's really going to determine whether this is a success is the price. So this upgrade kit that we received has an RRP of £741, and it's actually £70 less for the rim brake version. Realistically, you can probably pick it up for a fair bit less than that though. So let's take a closer look at it, go through how it performs, and then compare how that price compares to rivals. It's probably easiest to sum up the rest of the details as 5 things I really rate about this Wheeltop group sets and 5 things that I think could be better. Firstly, it weighs just 1,190 grams. Now that is seriously impressive. For example, Rival AXS, which is SRAM's lowest tier electronic group set available in 2x format, that's around 200 grams heavier. Number 2, it's got carbon bits. Now, not only are the shifter blades made out of carbon fibre, but also this rear mech cage and this plate here on the body. Nice. You don't get carbon until quite a bit higher up the Shimano and SRAM ranges. Number 3, it is really easy to fit. Because it's fully wireless, these mechs just bolt on, and that makes it a lot easier than having to route wires through the frame. Of course, you do still have to put the brake hoses down through the frame, but really, well, there's no getting around that. The next thing I like is the hoods. Now look at these, they're really quite small. Shimano and SRAM have spent absolutely years working out all the hydraulic gubbins in here to make sure they don't have towers on top of their shifters. And well, Wheeltop, they've gone and done it on their first go. And finally, it looks rather good. Like, look at this rear mech. It doesn't absolutely scream, I've just saved myself a bucket load of cash thanks to the lack of garish branding. You could happily put this on your best bike. As you might expect, there are also a few things that I think could be improved upon. For example, the batteries, this bit and this bit, they are permanently attached to the mechs. Now that means that you can't just swap them if your battery goes dead on a ride. And also, if one is to fail, then it's bye-bye derailleur. Second, and it's kind of related, you get 2 nice long charging cables in the box, like that you plug in with a USB. They use magnets to charge. Now, let me show you. They go on there, kind of somewhere like that. Exactly. The magnets just aren't really strong enough, and the amount of times I've come back into my garage and found that it's got no more juice than when I left it. Sticking in a similar area, these rubber grommets, they're just not very well fitted, really. They just sort of, it takes some effort to put them back in. They don't just sort of snap back into place. And I'm assuming that they are necessary for the groupset's IP67 waterproof rating. Coming back up top, and these shifter hoods, they just feel a bit stiff. They're just quite, the easiest way to describe them is they're just a bit more plasticky than rubbery than Shimano and Sram's. Now, they do have this texture, and you sort of rely on that texture more for grip than the material itself. And finally, these buttons, they do just feel a little bit cheap. In fact, you might be able to hear them rattling. Actually, that's a point. I haven't actually explained how these shifters work. So, you've got just one on the left, like on SRAM. That one controls the front mech. One button, one press for down, one press for up. And then on the right hand side, you've actually got two buttons like Shimano. So again, one for down, one for up, two separate buttons. You can actually configure in the app which one goes which way, which is a nice touch. One thing that you don't get is any auxiliary buttons. There's none hiding up there. So no sprint or climbing shifters either. You do get a little light though. Look at that. Of course, all that tech, low weight and clever features is pointless if it's crap. So what's the Wheeltop group set like to live with? Well, we'll kick off with braking performance, which on the whole is really rather good. The latest generations of SRAM and Shimano brakes have managed to successfully quash many of the issues that we first experienced with disc brakes on road bikes. And Wheeltop really aren't that far behind. Straight out the box, the brakes feel pretty powerful, the modulation is decent, and there's adequate pad clearance too. That means that they don't rub every time you touch them. They're also really easy to bleed as they come with the fluid already in the levers and the hoses, meaning there's a lot less work to do to get the air out. We're running our brakes with a 160mm at the front and a 140mm at the rear, and you get all the necessary adapters in the box to fit these to, well, all manner of flat mount standard road bikes. It's also worth mentioning that the brakes use mineral oil, so like Shimano, rather than SRAM, which uses DOT fluid. And we've heard on some forums that these shifters should work with Shimano brake calipers if you'd rather use those over these Wheeltop ones. One other thing when it comes to braking, and that's reach adjustment. You do get it, and you do that using the 2mm screw under these shifters. Now, ours actually came in the closest position, and you don't actually get a whole heap of adjustability. They're fine for me, but for riders with smaller hands, they might be wishing the levers were a little bit closer, especially in the drops. Next up, the upgrade kit's main job, gear shifting. As I mentioned earlier, a huge positive of this group set is that you can basically fit it to any bike, anything from 7 speed through to 14 speed. Now, obviously not many bikes are 14 speed at the moment, but perhaps Wheeltop is adding that option to future-proof it. This rear mech is compatible with up to 36 tooth sprockets and down to 10 tooth, so that should be more than enough for most road setups. And the front mech can cope with up to a 16 tooth difference in chainring sizes, which is also pretty good. For example, I'm running 52 36 tooth chainrings and an 11 28 tooth cassette, and as you'd hope, it's been handling that just fine. In use, the gears feel good. The rear mech is pretty quick and it doesn't struggle with changing under load. It also has a front mech auto trim function, which means that the front mech moves just a little bit as you get to the extremities of the cassette at the rear. So that's to avoid any annoying rubbing noises. One thing that you don't get is any synchro shift modes, but you can change multiple gears at a time by holding down the buttons. So that will keep most people happy. I can't say I ever actually use Shimano's synchro shift functions anyway, but if you do want to get more out of your electronic group set, then click the card up there for some lesser known functions. And that leads us on to indexing. Now that is done using the Wheeltop app, which in fairness has excellent functionality. You can not only check your battery levels, change between race mode and casual mode, but also index individual gears. So not just the whole thing, but an individual gear. Now that is a wicked idea, but not one that is exactly being executed to perfection. You will also find that that race mode that speeds up shifting will impact battery life. Now Wheeltop says that you should get about 20,000 gear shifts between charges, and that the battery is good for 800 charges. In reality, I've been doing around 100 gear shifts every 10k, I think that's about average for where I live, and having to charge the mechs every 700k or so. Now that's definitely more often than I have to on my SRAM or Shimano group sets, which is surprising given the battery capacities. Now I'm hoping that this is something Wheeltop can improve with some software updates, because at the moment, this is probably the main drawback of the group set. So, it shifts well, it brakes well, it's easy to fit, and it seems very well thought out. But is it good value? Well, just as a reminder, at road.cc we always compare products at their RRP, and that means that we have to use the £741 price tag for this setup that we have here. Both SRAM and Shimano would rather sell you a group set that has a cassette and a chain and some cranks in them, but it is possible to also buy individual components. So let's take Sram Rival as an example first. The full group set has an RRP of £1,540, but you can buy just the mechs, shifters and brake calipers like this Wheeltop group set for around £970. So that's around £250 or 25% more than this Wheeltop offering. Shimano 105 Di2 got quite a bit of stick when it was released with a price tag of £1,670. And if you want to buy just a selection of components, then the deal gets even worse. I've totted up a total of £1,318 just for the mechs, shifters, brakes and a battery. And then you're going to need some wires on top of that as well. A significant amount more than the Wheeltop parts then. Basically, if you've got a bike that's running mechanical shifting with a chain, cassette and chain rings that are in good nick, then the EDS TX group set is almost always going to be the cheapest way to convert it to electronic shifting. If, however, you have a frame that needs an entirely new group set, then if you search around, I'm pretty confident that you can find a complete Sram Rival AXS or Shimano 105 Di2 group set for a similar price to the Wheeltop upgrade kit and then all the other relevant bits you'd need. Another consideration is warranty. Now, Shimano has a huge dealer network all across the world, and SRAM has been working hard in recent years to prove that it can compete with its own after-sales service. With Wheeltop, you do get a 1-year warranty, which should give some peace of mind. But realistically, if something breaks, you are going to be without your bike for longer than with a Shimano or SRAM group set. In my opinion, competition is always a good thing, and Wheeltop has certainly put the cat among the pigeons. Without Campagnolo focusing on any lower tier group sets, it really has become a SRAM versus Shimano debate for attainable electronic group sets. And it's about time someone took the fight to them. Peer-to-peer, I do think that Shimano 105 Di2 and SRAM Rival AXS still have the edge. The shifting is just a little bit quicker, the battery life is better, and as you'd expect, they're just a little bit more refined, especially the apps and setup process. That said, the Wheeltop group set is for many people going to work out cheaper, and that definitely changes things. The EDS TX isn't some obscure Chinese bargain that's rolling out of a factory's back door. It's very usable, it's reliable, and a genuine option with a proper distribution network and warranty process. It is a good group set, end of, and has a lot of features that are genuinely brilliant. Right now, it's good for the price, it's great for riders who want to make their rim brake bikes shifting electronic, and it's perfect for anyone who doesn't want to shell out on a whole new Gruppo. Let us know what you think of this group set down in the comments below, as well as whether you'd be tempted to buy this over something from SRAM or Shimano. As always, give this video a like if you found it interesting, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel for lots more cool cycling tech. We'll see you next time.